Can you believe it? It is day 27. Yep, we are closer to the 30 day of our 30-day journey to 30. And it is so close. This is insane. I can't even. Sorry to go all basic on you, but hashtag, I can't even. Today we're going to dive more into the concept of clarity by looking at trust and trusting. I know you've heard this phrase before, trust the process, but genuinely, today we're going to talk about trust because it is so important to trusting this whole process, to knowing that the outcome is going to be amazing and you can let go of your idea of the outcome. As I was researching what I wanted to bring to this conversation today about trust, it almost felt like I was piecing together a letter to myself. It's almost like this is exactly what I needed to hear as I'm turning 30. And so I'm really hoping that you feel some of that kind of divine calling of sorts, that it really resonates with you as we're working through this process. So the very first thing I want to talk about is that, like always, I'm getting some of my concepts from her. If you haven't already gone out and bought this book, clearly you need to, because I talk about it a lot. The very first concept that I want to talk about is you were born knowing. You were born knowing. And according to Rebecca Black, not Rebecca Black, according to Rebecca Campbell, she has found that deep down, everyone knows what they came here for. Deep down, they know exactly what they long to do. Deep down, their calling is actually clearer than can ever imagine. But the things that trip most people up are, and she lists 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. So pay attention. Which one of these is most tripping you up? So 1, wanting to label what it is rather than just following what lights them up. And I see that a lot with, in particular, college students. They want to know what major fits my life outcome. Like, how do I get from where I am now to there, and what is the path called? Is it called a business degree? Is it called actuarial science, which is a thing? Is it called veterinarian school? Like, what is it? I need to label what it is that I want to do instead of just being like, you know what, I'm kind of interested in science and how numbers work, but I'm also interested in how you can use science to create the perfect color ratio in a picture. We don't need to name that. You just need to go do that. Like, if that's really what's calling you, if that's really like the curiosity that's driving you, follow that. Don't label it. But that's a trap that a lot of people fall into. Another trap that a lot of people fall into is looking for some kind of approval that the thing that lights them up is actually the right thing and that they are good enough for it. So maybe you've decided that you want to create art from robots and you're like, this isn't a thing. Robotic art. This isn't a thing. Is this the right thing? Can someone tell me if this is the right thing? Is there a degree in this so that people can tell me I'm going towards the right thing? Because if I can get an A in it, then I know that it's the right thing. Or maybe they're talking to their friends and their family. Maybe you're not in college anymore and you're still trying to figure out life. You're like, well, I got a marketing degree and now I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm passionate about communication. Can someone tell me whether or not I'm on the right path? Because I don't want to take the next step. I don't want to take the next job offer if I'm not sure if it's right, so I'm just not going to do it. That trips us up too. Third, feeling like they have a plan of exactly how it is going to work out before they consider leaping towards it. So that's another thing. Okay, I need to get straight A's in high school so that I can go to college and I can major in this and I have a minor in this and then I can go to grad school and I can do this and then I'll get an entry-level position at this law firm and then I'll work my way up. And then if you don't have a perfect complete plan, that's okay. That is okay, because a lot of times when you don't know C, D, E, F, G, you're afraid to go from A to B. And how many people are stuck at A? How many people, going back to a quote that we talked about recently, how many people are still in the stands and not in the arena because they don't know what the path looks like moving forward? Don't let that stop you. Don't let that stop you. And the last one, comparing themselves to other people who are already doing their things. Ooh, in quote, she put, an overnight success is never an overnight success, and it's never an overnight success. And that is so important to remember. It's not. It's not. So An example we used before is maybe you want to open up your own coffee shop. There are a majillion other coffee shops, okay? And if you just thought that to yourself and said, well, Starbucks is already a chain, I just shouldn't do this, the world is going to miss out on your quality crafted latte. And we need that in our lives. But so many people are comparing themselves, their now, to other people's step bajillion. I love that word. um, we're comparing our now to other people's step Z and step ZZ and step triple Z, that we're like, they're doing it better than I am, so I guess I might as well. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. Those are the four biggest things that trip people up, and we've identified them. Which one resonates most with you, and then how do we just squash it? Your life is important. Your life, your calling, your curiosities is important. So no one has ever had the complete perfect plan. There is no end destination. There is no right or wrong way to do it, and you do not need permission from anyone else. Don't put so much pressure on yourself. Forget about the outcome, the plan, and just start now by following one thing that fills you up, that gets you out of bed and you are enthusiastic about, and then reach for another. It doesn't have to make sense. The best things never do. I love that. The best things never do. And so a huge part of that is, like we kind of talked about, is not being attached to the outcome. And luckily, she has another little mini chapter that's don't be attached to the outcome. This little thing, don't be attached to the outcome. Your job is to work out the what. The universe's job is to work out the how. So don't worry about how it's going to pan out. Just dive in and do it with all the love and passion that you can conjure up. Before you know it, the universe will surprise you with an outcome that is beyond anything your mind could possibly imagine. But first, you have to put your head down and lose yourself in the doing. So don't be attached to the outcome. It's probably not going to turn out how you imagined anyways, especially if you want to do artistic robotic art. I don't know what that looks like, but maybe you need to start studying robots and art and color composition and theory, and maybe try to put some pieces together and just start. You don't have to call yourself anything. And you might have stumbled on this page, and I know a lot of people are looking for life coaches because they're curious about being a life coach. And so that's a particular issue that a lot of people are like, well, there's so many life coaches. I don't want to call myself a life coach, but am I an intentional living mentor? Am I a overcomer? Like, that's a huge part of being attached to the outcome, is saying, well, I don't know my title, so I can't get started. Just get started. It'll happen. It'll happen. And one of the best ways you can do that is just by asking the part of you that knows. So throughout the entire process so far, we've gotten down to, you know what you're doing. You do. You really do. If you stop, if you look, if you listen before you act, if you get aware, if you grab an awareness of your physical environment, your intuition, I forgot that word for a second. If you reconnect with your intuition, if you're reevaluating your subconscious beliefs, if you are really taking the time to do the work to dig into, like, who am I really? What are the stories that I've said about myself, and which ones do I want to get rid of? If you are taking the time to follow your curiosity, you know what you're doing. 100 majillion%, you know what you're doing. So ask the part of you that knows. And there's a mini chapter on ask the part of you that knows. It's like she was reading my mind. She's so good at this. So this little section dives just a little bit into how you might imagine, like, what your own religious beliefs are. So if that part doesn't resonate with you, that's fine. Take what does and leave the rest. Like, this is your life. You get to do what you want to do. But ask the part of you that knows. There's a part of you that knows the answer to everything you seek. Your path, your purpose, which direction to move in, and exactly when to leap. Before you incarnated, it received a mandate from Spirit, and, upon hearing this request, this part of you jumped right on it and couldn't wait to begin. Willing to be ignored time and time again, the part of you that knows vowed never to give up, no matter how long it takes. The part of you who knows that you are in exactly the right place to do everything that you set out to do. For the part of you who knows also knows that deep down you know too. That was kind of convoluted, but I hope you're with me. Because you're ready. You know the next step. Just ask the part of you that knows and do it. Babe, do it. And that's it. That's trust. Not being attached to the outcome, knowing that you know the answer, being willing to overcome those 4 roadblocks that we discussed, and just doing it. Trust yourself. If you've gone through the 7 C's so far, and you've developed an understanding of who you are, what you want, what lights you up, what's been getting in your way, you are... Oh, I can't resist another opportunity to say this word. You are a majillion steps closer to your authentic and brilliant life than most people. Majillion.